Gonna go ahead and get started with today's video. We're going to be talking about I want to give you all kind of the backstory a little bit today and talk about how and why I came to actually create the Done Dissertation and the Done Dissertation Velocity Group Coaching Program. So what we're going to do is take a couple minutes, let some folks join in. And if you're tuning in, make sure you drop who you are. If you're a doc student, let me know where you're coming from, where you are in the process, just so we can build some community in the comments. So make sure you drop who you are on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you're watching this from. Make sure you drop who you are and where you're coming from. I'd love to stay connected with you. And as always, if you know someone who could benefit from this, you know, 2 or 3 people that could benefit, you know, make sure that you reach out to them and send this to them in whatever way you can get this to them. Because I want to make sure more people know about what's happening and how to get through the dissertation in record time. But today's video, we're going to talk about the solution that you need to finally finish your dissertation. And Ron, I see you on Instagram. It's good to see you, man. Hope all is well. Now, love, if you're watching this on another platform, make sure that you share this with somebody and make sure that you let me know in the comments who you are, where you're coming from. And those who are watching on the replay, I know I get a number of folks that watch on the replay tomorrow. Make sure that you just drop a comment. Let me know where you're coming from. We'll give folks another minute or so, and then we'll go ahead and get started. We got Ron Miller from Austin, Texas, PhD student, coursework, and dissertation writing at the same time. Hey, Ron, that is a serious feat right there to do both at the same time. I got a couple of clients who are writing the dissertation and doing coursework, and I know that could be a challenge. But hopefully right now, it's starting to settle down in terms of the coursework because the semester's getting ready to end so that you can, you know, possibly push and have a little more time to actually focus on your dissertation. And Dr. Robinson, peace, bro. I appreciate you, man, for being on. Yeah, the challenge, brother, is real. I understand. Like I said, I got a couple folks who are in these fast doctoral programs that get you in and out. And a lot of times you're trying to do both, right, and get through the process and get through coursework. So it definitely could be a challenge. So what I want to do is just give folks another minute or two to tune in, and then we will go ahead and get started. And again, as always, if you know someone that can benefit from this, make sure that you share this with them. If you see me tuning in, I'm just sharing this out to some other folks so they can jump on, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Perfect. All right. So what we're going to do is go ahead and jump into this and get started with our content for today. Today's video, I really want to talk about and give you all some of the backstory, because I know for some of you might be thinking like, who the heck creates like a coaching program for doctoral students to get through the process, right? And when you hear more about and know about my journey, you will understand why I created this for you and why this is the solution that you need to finish your dissertation in record time. But first, I want to start, for those who don't know me, again, I'm Dr. Mo Goings, founder of the Done Dissertation, where we demystify the dissertation process so that doctoral students can write and defend their dissertations in 1 year less, and then leverage their research to build out a business. Because I am all for folks finishing a dissertation, using that work to then transition to a faculty role is what we do with our program. And then from there, actually using that work to then build out a consultancy or business that leverages your research. I'm all about how do we take our work and make massive impact as well as massive income. So I look forward to chatting with you all more about that. But I know for a lot of doctoral students, right, my experience and what you all may see as the final product is definitely not where I was when I first started the process. And so for me, when I was first writing my dissertation and even going into a doctoral program, like, you have to understand, I did not understand how the dissertation process worked, just like many of you all. And I think for a lot of us, that produces sometimes anxiety, and then we're not sure how to act or how to move. And rather than being, quote, wrong in our movement, we choose not to move and we just stay stagnant. And I see a lot of folks end up like that. And then what ends up happening is that 1 semester turns into 3 semesters, turns into 4 years, turns into 8 years. And it's no surprise that I've had people come to chat with me who have been writing a dissertation for between 9 to 11 years. And it's because sometimes when we don't understand the process, we get stagnant. And I think for me starting out, I didn't understand. It was this mystery thing And as you're going through coursework, you might hear your professor saying, I'm just trying to prepare you for the dissertation. And you're wondering, like, what the heck are you even talking about? Because I don't understand what you're preparing me for. And so if you're feeling that, let me know in the chat, in the comments, if that's maybe part of your experience. Because I know for a lot of doc students, that is the case, that you don't want to get anything wrong. So rather than be wrong, you choose not to act. And that will stifle you along the dissertation process, right? And then I also know for a lot of doc students that you might be feeling frustrated. And I know I did in my experience, that I felt frustrated a lot of times because I wasn't getting the feedback that I thought I needed or that I thought was quick enough. And so, as I mentioned before in a number of different videos, one of my first experiences getting feedback was from a professor who's actually my biggest supporter, but he ended up writing on my dissertation, or actually on a classroom paper, that he put a big X on page 3 and said, you need to see a writing coach in order to approve this immediately. And I just couldn't understand, why that was and what was happening to me. But what I came to learn is that he was trying to push me to be a better writer than I could imagine for myself. And so when you're getting that feedback that you might not like, or you just get frustrated because there's so much of it, you really have to take a step back and say, what can I learn from this feedback that I can apply and then move forward with my work? And so for a lot of folks, I always say, first take a break, a step away from the work, and then come back to it with a fresh perspective. And we literally were talking about that on our coaching call last night. I have one of our clients I see on Instagram on here, and Tiffany, you can even speak to that, right? Like, we were talking about just how to handle feedback, because I know I got frustrated with it because it was just so much. And I figured, like, how do I make sense of all this feedback? I just don't know how I'm going to do it in a way that will best help me move forward in the dissertation process. And so with that, not only did I not understand the dissertation process, even though everyone kept talking about it in coursework, I'm like, what are you talking about? Not only was I frustrated with how I got feedback and what to do with the amount of feedback that I was getting. And trust me, I was getting a lot. I was not a strong writer. And the thing is, you would be so surprised looking at if you go pull up my CV on my website, you'll see that I'm an author of over, at this point, 70 publications, right? You would not have known that starting out where I came from as a doc student, just initially trying to get into the mind frame of writing. But I think what happened, right? The way that I was originally thinking about writing, which a lot of folks might be thinking, and tell me, like, put it in the comments if you're thinking like this, that your writing has to be perfect. And I've come to learn very quickly that, having or trying to get to perfect writing will never happen. When I came to that realization that perfection would not happen for me with my writing, it actually gave me a lot of relief. And so what I ended up doing from there is that I just started to really practice, really study, and really tried to find ways to improve. But I know for a lot of folks, this is a big piece, right? You want everything to be perfect so that you go through one round of revisions with your chair and you move on to the next thing. But here's the reality. That will never happen, quite frankly. Faculty will always find something. So this going in, so you're not worried about being perfect. You want it to be top quality. I would say 80% is the goal, and top quality, because you know that your chair, committee members, they're going to push you to the rest of the way. And if you agree or have had this happen to you where you want your writing to be perfect, drop it in the chat. Because like I said, I don't want to be alone in this, because I know I'm not the only one who thought my writing had to be perfect to submit. And what I find for a lot of folks is that because your writing is not perfect, you choose not to submit. And because you don't submit, you don't finish. And that is essentially the framework and how things actually operate in this process. And Tiffany said, I did. Like, it just is. And it's okay. Like, no one's perfectness. We're all trying to figure it out along the way. And Ron said on Instagram, I was overwhelmed with the page count. Initially, perfection does play a large part in the mindset. Yeah. Perfection is like one of those mindset shifts that if you can change your perfectionism mindset, it really will unlock this process for you. And then page count, the strategy. And I also think that, with page count, we get caught up with the number versus thinking about, all right, 30 pages, it seems a lot. But if I think about it, let's say in my chapter 1, I have 6 sections, let's say. Now I really realize that I don't have 30 pages to write. I have 6 5-page papers to write. I think we all can tackle a 5-page paper if you're getting to this game to really write. And for the clients that we work with who are looking to become faculty members, that is definitely a big piece of the process. So, I know a lot of folks get stuck on the writing being perfect and the number and quantity, but you got to start breaking down that process into smaller pieces so you can manage it. Another thing is that, along with writing the dissertation, right, for, those of you who we work with who have aspirations to become a faculty member, there's this other piece that you got to handle. Not only I'm writing my dissertation, but then how do I think about and apply for faculty positions at the same time? because I know a lot of folks are trying to make this transition smoothly so that you can leave wherever you are. If it might be in K-12, might be in higher ed, might be in corporate to higher ed in terms of faculty. And there's a window of opportunity each year where positions come open. And so you got to kind of be strategic in that. And if you want to learn more, I've talked about in another video, maybe a couple of weeks ago, about how to be strategic and apply and then navigate doing the faculty route and finishing your dissertation at the same time. But this is often a part I find a lot of folks that are frustrated with. And I indeed was too, because I didn't necessarily know how to do that at first. And I'm trying to think about, I have to manage all of these processes. But again, what I did with my dissertation was broken down into smaller pieces. And also what I did with the faculty application process is broke it down into smaller pieces. And then the last thing I worried about in the back of my mind, and I know a lot of you all, depending on the institution that you go to, you kind of get ingrained in I think in a bad way, that the only route for you to go is to a research one or a research intensive university. And then also the fact that if you don't come from or have graduated from one of those top universities, that you can never end up at a research one university. And I think that is ridiculous, but I think that it's a narrative that is set in a lot of doctoral programs for a lot of students who want to become faculty. So if you feel like you're not prepared by not having enough publications, or you feel like you're not going to that top institution, hearing that advice may dissuade you from actually applying and going into one of those positions. But I want to let you know that that is not the case. And this is something that you should continue to move forward with, despite what other people may say. However, I had all these struggles, right? I struggled with understanding the process. I know a lot of y'all are trying to figure that out. Tiffany says, that would be me, faculty, here I come. For sure. And like, you're in the right program, you know how we're going to help you get through. And literally, we'll teach you the process in order to prepare and be ready for when that opportunity comes. So I know, like, for a lot of you, frustrated with the process, struggling with getting feedback and how to handle it, not sure about yourself as a writer, feeling not as confident in your writing, not understanding what it's like to get into a faculty role while finishing your dissertation, and this idea that you had to be at a top institution to get to the institution that you want to go to. However, I want to let you know, while I had those struggles, like many of you might have, this is what I did to overcome some of those struggles. First is that I realized that I had to keep submitting my work to my chair and my committee in order for it to get approved. I found quickly that the more and the more speed that you start to reply and get feedback back to your committee member is one step closer that you get to finishing your dissertation. Just holding on to it, waiting for it to be perfect, is the worst thing you could do with your work. You literally are holding yourself back months, if not years, in the process by just only being willing to hold on to your work until it was perfect. Again, if I wanted to hold on to my work until it was perfect, I probably would not be finished. I'd probably still be in the doctoral process. And I think this is something that you want to consider. And if you're a doctoral student, you're trying to figure out how to manage this, I definitely invite you, and we'll talk more about this later, to apply for the Velocity Group Coaching Program, because it's really going to help you think through and really be strategic in your submissions so that you can move forward in the process and not get so stuck. Okay, I have Miss AIC. If you can tell me your name in the comments on Instagram, that'd be helpful, because I just can't see it from my phone. I see you said that I'm holding on to chapters until it's perfect. That's for a lot of folks. And then you look around, 2 semesters, a semester goes by. Say it was all this semester. That's 1 semester in books. Then we start in 2022 off. Might hold it again until March. Then I submit it in March. I got feedback. I get them the feedback in April. You turn around, it's May. They for the summer. Next, I'm into the fall semester. So literally, I'm at a year by just being stuck and sitting on my writing instead of sending it out, getting feedback, and then replying and getting it back to them faster. And if you find that you don't have the support to do that, you need to go ahead and make sure that you ask and get that support to get through the process. Because it makes no sense to be in a doctoral program holding on to work and not being done paying tuition dollars for a degree that you don't have. Again, I'm all about getting people out of the process so that you can earn your doctorate, transform your life, and then use your research to build your consultancy to transform the lives of others. I think there's an opportunity to really make impact in our communities with our research, and then also make income for ourselves and build generational wealth. I'm a firm believer in that. And Tiffany says, Velocity Coaches helped me. I'm glad I joined. Like, literally, we are, she just joining. We're getting the momentum already moving forward with her work with her chair. Like, it's amazing the work that you can do. Another realization that I had, right, that really helped me overcome some of the mindset I had, the negative mindset I had about the process, is that I quickly realized that perfection doesn't exist. When I realized that, it really helped me tremendously. What I started to figure out was that, oh, it doesn't exist, so why am I trying to reach it, attain it, because it won't be attained, right? And so what I started to do was like, let me work on my writing, let me improve day by day, and let me get this out and get feedback, and then have this dialogue with my chair and committee. And doing that really helped me build my confidence, because what I found over time is that, the first iteration I might get 10 comments, the next one I might get 8, the next one 5, next one I'm past, and then next thing on my next chapter, the initial comments from my chair might have been 6 comments. Now I'm scaling it back until it got to a point where I was sending high quality work. It was just like, fix these minor things up and let's get this off to the committee. And that's how this process works. And I literally doing that and realizing that perfection doesn't exist allowed me to finish my proposal in 3 months in terms of writing and getting everything approved. And like I said, I know my journey is not unique. I have other colleagues who have done the same, and my students have also done the same. And it's something that can definitely be for you if you put the work in. And then one piece of this process, right, that I figured out that was like the linchpin of me really moving forward quickly in the program is you had to be, and what I had to do was be in constant communication with my dissertation chair. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Grosslin. She's a professor now at the University of South Florida, was my dissertation chair. And, we had our communication pattern set, and it really helped propel me in the process. So I know I could come to her saying, hey, I'm working on this. And we would sit down and plan out a chapter. I would go execute and write. I would send it back to her. While she was reviewing, I was working on the next chapter. And literally this back and forth allowed me to finish fast. And it was because I had established a rapport with my chair. And so if you all can take nothing from this video, if you don't have a rapport with your chair, or you haven't talked to them in months because you've been holding on to your document, go ahead and submit it to them and send them an email today, right? This is what I want you to do. Send them an email today. Tell them where you are, what you're working on, and see if you can get a meeting on their calendar before the end of the semester. Like, that's my goal for everybody. If you do this, send me a DM, let me know that you did it, and tell me what happened. Because I promise you, setting that meeting really sets the tone for your relationship, even though you might not make a lot of momentum by the end of this semester, but starting in 2022, you're ready to just springboard into action with your dissertation. And so again, I think that was really helpful. And then I found that the more I built the rapport, the faster my feedback got. And now being a chair and being someone who works with doctoral students from the faculty side, so you all know how it works, is that a lot of times for us, whoever stays on top of mind stays on the top of our mind. And so what I mean by that is that literally when you're staying at the top of our mind, we're like, okay, I want to make sure that we get you through and make sure you look at that paper when you send it. And we might move you up the queue versus someone else we hadn't heard from in 6-7 months. And so that's just the reality of what happens a lot of times in this faculty life. And I had someone just join on Facebook. Kofi says, I'm in the proposal phase and stuck because of corrections. Chair and co-chairs always find something. And Kofi, they will always find something. It just is. I'm sorry, you're on LinkedIn. This is part of the process, and it's something that you just have to consider. It's just something that's going to really be a part of it. The thing that you have to learn how to do, and what we teach in our program, is how to be strategic and how to manage the feedback that you get and how to reply and how to create a relationship in a way that really shows your chair and committee members, in your case, your co-chair, that you mean business and that you're really about the work and really moving forward. So if you want to learn more about how to do that, then you definitely need to join our program so we can give you a strategy on how to do it. And I have someone on Instagram, Miss AIC54 says, but thank you for the advice. I'm really going to send in my work tonight. Please do. Like, even, send it to your chair. You need to get feedback. You holding on does you a disservice, quite frankly. So I definitely don't want to see that for you. And so just to pause, if folks have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, and then my folks on Instagram, you can drop it in the question box at the bottom. If you have any questions, I'll make sure I address all questions towards the end of this video. And also, I want to talk to you about the process, right? Because not only I had these kind of things that were setting me back in terms of my mindset for one, and then my skill set second, but then when I started to realize what I need to overcome the struggle, what I initially did and what I wanted to do was start to document what I was doing to really navigate the process. And I want to give you some of that strategy and to what I did to finish my dissertation faster. The first part I did is that I stopped looking at the dissertation as this large 100-page plus page document. Like, literally, if you look at my dissertation, you pull up on ProQuest, it's 221 pages cover, kind of, if you look at the PDF cover to cover, 221 pages. I had to not think about my dissertation like that. If I thought about it like that, I'd probably still be writing, because it would be overwhelming to figure out, like, oh my gosh, I got to write 221 pages. It would have seemed insurmountable. What I did was that I broke down the process into small writing bits, and then what I did was like each day I took my time to attack one small piece of the larger project. So if I was working on my methodology, on one day I might have just been working on my participant sample. I might have just wrote that section up. The next time I might have been working on data collection. Another time I've been working on data analysis. Literally, I broke down the process into these small pieces. That way it became so much more manageable, and I was able to really finish faster because I was working in small bits. And then what allowed me to do what I didn't do as well as I was breaking down the process. What I did not do was edit while I was writing. I know for a lot of doc students, you all like to edit while you write. And so you may have, yesterday, say for instance, you wrote a section. Today when you show up to write, first thing you do is go back to yesterday's section. No, I actually want you to stop doing that. I actually want you to just start writing the section that you had planned for today. Because what you're going to do is write the whole, say, chapter, and then you will have a session that's strictly focused on editing where you clean up the whole chapter. There's no need to keep going back and forth. It slows up your process. And what a lot of doc students will do, and let me know in the comments if this is you, what you'll end up doing is that as you're writing and then you go back to edit, you'll get frustrated with yourself because you'll be like, man, what I wrote was terrible. Like, that's trash. And that whole process and thought is just permeating in your mind throughout that writing session. So not only are you mad about what you wrote, but because you're so mad, when you're sitting down at the chair trying to write your next section, you literally can't write and you feel frozen as a result because you have this negative mindset about writing and about your thoughts, about your ideas. And to let you know, at the foundation of that is sometimes the idea that you don't feel that your writing is up to par deep down inside. Like, I know I felt like that. I'm like, how am I reading these great writers? There's no way that what I have to say is as important as those writers that I really love to watch and really, really love to read and look at their work. So again, I think that was something that is really important to really start thinking about with this process. Another piece of what I did in terms of how did I navigate the process in terms of putting everything together is that what I ended up doing is that anytime I submitted work to my chair, what I ended up doing was immediately planning out the next chapter or the next section. Because what happens for a lot of students, like, we celebrate the victory, in which I always recommend, like, and Tiffany can mention this, like, literally, I'm all about incentives. So when you finish a chapter, when you finish, you have a milestone in your process, I'm definitely all about, celebrating that, right? But what I want you all to start thinking about is that you have to keep the forward momentum. So as you're finishing one thing you submit to your chair, you're immediately moving on to the next chapter, the next section. And there's always something to work on. And so for Miss AIC, where are you in the process? Are you in your proposal phase? Or are you past proposal? Because I could give you some just a quick strategy on where you are, what you can do once you submit this chapter. And so again, you always have to be thinking about working ahead. In my book, 14 Secrets to a Done Dissertation, I talk about the CWS method. And this literally is a method for you to stay one step ahead of your chair at all times, because you never want to be idle in this process, because the more idle you are, you start to get comfortable, and you get comfortable, you start to get complacent, and complacency turns into months of time wasted and not having done anything towards your dissertation. I've seen it happen too many times. So there's always something. Even if you finish your proposal, while your chair and committee members are waiting for approval, you could be working on your PowerPoint slides for your defense. You work on your institutional review board approval if you have to do that for your study. There are so many things that you can work on, and you really want to be mindful of that. And you don't want to wait till when things are due to get them done. Like, you really want to just stay one step ahead of everybody. And I promise you, the more you are to do this, the easier this process will become. And then lastly, right, not only was I figured out how to not think about being perfect, how to, really break down the writing process into smaller pieces. But then what I was able to do is, like, I know I'm going to finish my dissertation at some point, and I know I want to become a faculty member. Why don't I now start working on those documents that are required for a faculty position? And again, if you go back in content from a couple of weeks ago, I talk about the documents that you need to be thinking about and have templates for immediately for any faculty position that you are applying for. And literally, I've had conversations with some of my faculty friends who are on search committees, and you'd be surprised about how if your CV is not right and your cover letter is not right, that literally will, like, take you out of the running for positions. You'd be surprised about how sloppy a lot of CVs and cover letters are that we see in terms of applications coming in. You want to give yourself the best chance of getting in and having an opportunity to get to a phone interview. Like, that's your goal, right? To get through the paperwork stage, I call it, of the process of the hiring process. You don't want to have sloppy documents. And you want your documents to be strategically written for the position that you're applying for. But again, it starts with having a template, because once you have a template, you can then change it for the call that you're applying for. And again, this is something that is unique to the Done Dissertation Velocity Group Coaching Program, because we do provide that support, because I know a lot of folks don't have that coming out of a lot of doc programs. That's something that often is just not taught, but it's like kind of an unspoken rule about what you should do and how you should know how to behave. And literally having this process, like having documented this as I was a student, and then once I finished, what ended up happening is that I got my doctorate in urban educational leadership at Morgan State University in December of 2015. So I think on the 18th of this month is my, I guess, what is that? 21, 15, 6-year anniversary from finishing my doctorate, officially graduating. So with that, right after that, I started to get a lot of students, my professor's students, they would say, "Hey, go see Ramon. He's kind of figured this thing out." And then that started me to really want to focus and help support doctoral students getting through the process, because I initially started out editing people's work. What I found from editing is not only about editing, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of folks just want an editor. I see a lot of people asking, well, who's the best editor around? That's great, but the editor is not going to help you navigate the process. And I think that's where you need a coach. And literally, this is the reason why I created the Done Dissertation and Velocity Group Coaching Program, was to help support doctoral students to get through the dissertation in 1 year less and transition to a tenure track or a faculty position, whether it's tenure track, lecturer, adjunct, whatever it is that you want to do in faculty life. Because again, I see a lot of doctoral students looking to do both, looking to make a transition, and literally not knowing how to do that process and do it well. And literally, I'm a testament to my own work. I literally have done it. I went from being a K-12 teacher to working as a admin and staff member at a university, then going from that staff member to a faculty position. So I've been kind of through all those routes and know what it takes to kind of make those transitions and make those moves. And that's literally why we created the Velocity Group Coaching Program. I wanted to curate a community of scholars who are really dedicated to not only finishing their dissertation and getting the faculty position. That is important to me. I'm a results person. I want to make sure that you get out of these programs. But literally, I want to make sure that you all not only finish, but then use your research to transform your communities. Because again, it makes no sense to finish these programs. We're not going to do anything meaningful with our work. And so again, that's how I help folks, one, get through the dissertation process. But for those who may be watching who have earned their doctorate, I literally help you take your research and really turn it into a viable consultancy in order to transform the communities that you care most about and generate income for yourself. I think having an impact and generating income is something that we can do in tandem with each other. And it doesn't have to be these separate things that are like in collision with one another. I think you can support your communities and generate income for yourself by the service and support that you provide. And so again, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my journey so that you know how I came to creating the Done Dissertation Velocity Group Coaching Program. And literally, if you're on Instagram, one of my clients is in here and can tell you about already. And literally, they're in the pre-cohort coaching calls. So they haven't had access to full curriculum and everything. This is literally why we created the program. Not only does our program provide coaching calls, but we have a structured curriculum. Because there's no sense, I know this process inside and out. And I literally have documented the entire process so that you don't have to figure out how to navigate that aspect of it. Literally from beginning to selecting committee members to the end in terms of applying for faculty positions is laid out from A to Z for you in our program. And this is what differentiates us from a lot of coaches on the market. A lot of folks are, maybe hold one-on-one sessions with you and really help you in that way. But literally we have a curriculum that helps you navigate and think of the questions you're not even thinking about before you do. And again, being in an environment, I think, is very important to getting through the dissertation process. So that's exactly what we do. We provide a environment and structure for you to get through, where you have access to myself, my coaches, and folks who are already in higher education or where you want to be. But then also you have a network of other people, because what my goal is one day, just thinking big picture, is that you all earn your doctorates in our program. You all go out to become faculty members, and you all start hiring each other for positions. Like, I would love to see that. You all are going to become the director of doctoral programs at your institution or in your department, or you might become dean one day, vice president, president, like all these things. I want to say that and be mindful that we helped you get to this stage, the entry level position, to get to that point in your career. And that is my goal. I'm really motivated by that. Again, I'm a results driven. I want you all to finish, right? To work with us is not cheap, but we want to get you results and we want to get you out. And literally, if you saw on Instagram or on LinkedIn, like on LinkedIn, the post is kind of going pretty viral, like 11,000 views and like a 100 or so comments. But one of our colleagues and clients, Dr. Donovan Colquitt, just finished his PhD in engineering education at Purdue University, and he was one of our clients that actually joined in June of this year. So literally from June, he was passed his proposal defense, joined us in June, wrote chapters 4 and 5 in 2 months. He was done about August. He just went back and forth with his committee, getting things edited, getting things approved, and literally defended last week. So this can be done for you, and it doesn't have to take long. But I think if you're not willing, if you can't figure it out yourself, there's no need to sit and be alone in this process, just trying to navigate and figure it out on your own. And so this is exactly why we created the Done Dissertation Coaching Program. And I hear Kofi on LinkedIn says, great, I'm ready. Perfect. You definitely should apply. For those who are interested in learning more about the Done Dissertation, I definitely invite you to apply to work with us. You can join us at www.velocitydissertation.com. And Carrie, if you're still on, if you can't drop that in the comment, or if someone else can drop that in the comments for me, www.velocitydissertation.com. And here you can learn more about the program, and then you can apply. And again, we only have less than 5 spots remaining, and our cohort will close at the end of the month because, again, we like to have a tight-knit community in a relatively smaller group. Thanks, Carrie, for that on Instagram. I appreciate you. And y'all, if y'all like the content and the way it's been, curated for you online, I got to give a shout out to Carrie Henderson as our director of marketing and social media. Like, Carrie's the truth. So I just want to make sure I give her a shout out on this for all the support with getting this, the marketing together. So make sure if you like the content, the videos, make sure you give Carrie a shout out. And indeed, December 31st is the deadline to apply. So if you've been thinking about it, you've been on the fence, you better go ahead and apply now, because this is what's going to happen. You're going to wait till December 31st or even January the 1st, and we're going to be closed because we have filled our cohort. Again, I don't like to have a large group because I want to make sure we still provide that individualized attention and support. So we got to make sure that you get the individualized attention and support. So make sure that you apply, because again, when the seats fill up, we are closing enrollment. And then literally you won't be able to work with us until sometimes late spring, early summer of 2022. So if you're looking to get your dissertation done, it makes no sense to wait. You need to get the support, because literally what you're doing right now is spending thousands of dollars in tuition for no degree to show for it. So not only are you losing out money in tuition, you're losing out on opportunity costs, because literally you are sitting on the low end $10,000 to on the high end, and it's achievable $500,000 plus consultancy, leveraging your expertise as a researcher. But first, you got to get this dissertation done. So again, if you're a doctoral student looking to get your dissertation done and looking to transition into some form of faculty position, then the Done Dissertation Velocity Group Coaching Program is the right program for you. So I invite you to apply at www.velocitydissertation.com. And with that, I got some folks on Instagram and LinkedIn. I'd love to hear any questions that you all might have about where you are in your process, with maybe anything I shared today that resonate with you. If you can in the chat, I would love to hear anything that resonate with you. And Miss AIC said, how long does the cohort last? So that's a great question. And I should have mentioned that. Thank you for that question. Our cohorts are 4 months at a time. So you join in January, it will be from January to the end, beginning of January to the end of April. So it's kind of the same format as a typical semester. And our goal within that 4 months is that if you're at the proposal phase, we're going to get you ready for proposal defense in 4 months. And if you're past proposal defense, our goal is to have you having written out the rest of your dissertation so that you can be ready for defense. The piece that we can't control in this process, I always tell clients this, is that we can't control how fast your committee gives you feedback or how fast they move you forward. So sometimes that folks finish in our cohort, they have everything done and they're just waiting to defend, depending on how fast your committee works. But I know our process works. We get people through and people get done fast, not only because I would say a lot of times it's because you have that community support and that you invested in yourself. It's something different when you invested in yourself. You're like, hey, I put up my own money to make sure that I'm getting through this process. Like, I can't play around. And again, we're not cheap to work with. And that is something that really is important to you, because you want to get a return on your investment. And I'm all about a return on the investment. And just so you know, getting your doctoral degree is an infinite return on your investment. And I know Dr. Robinson, I don't know if he's still on here, talked about what is the ROI in your doctorate. And I'm a firm believer that the return on your doctorate is infinite. But Ms. ASC, that is a great question. And I'd love to hear more from you. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM. And I hope you do apply if you're interested. But any other questions? And thank you for Carrie on LinkedIn. As also said, if you want to apply for the Velocity Group Coaching Program, www.velocitydissertation.com. So make sure that you do apply. Other questions, thoughts, comments that folks might have. And again, if this resonated with you, or you really like what we had to say, make sure you share this with some other people. Don't be selfish on this. Definitely give them the insight and tools they might need to get through this process. So I'm looking, just checking to make sure there's no questions. I don't see any. I'm trying to check on Facebook and LinkedIn as we're moving forward. Perfect. Well, I don't see any questions. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the evening. So again, if you are looking to get done with your dissertation, make sure that you definitely reach out to us. Actually, on LinkedIn, Kofi asked, "Does the price depend on how much or how long the dissertation is?" No, no. The prices depend on how much or how long the dissertation is. We're not concerned about anything about how long your dissertation is. We're literally helping you. We have a proven system that helps you get through the process, and so we are process oriented. We're going to help you navigate the dissertation process so that you know exactly what to do, how to get through. And yeah, we're not concerned about how long the dissertation is. I mean, depending on your type of study, that will really dictate how long it is. My quant folks typically have shorter dissertations than my qualitative or mixed methods folks. So again, we're not concerned about that part. We do provide written, feedback and support. So yeah, we definitely can support you in that way. I will say though, for those who are interested, we are not someone, if you feel like you are literally struggling with the process of writing, like how to write, that is not where we wouldn't be the best fit for you if that is what you're looking for. Like someone to sit down and really be like, how to put these sentences together that build paragraphs. That is not necessarily what we're going to do for you. But we will provide feedback to make sure that's on point, that when it gets to your chair, that it will be the best product that you have to provide. Perfect, Kofi. I appreciate it. I'm glad that helped answer your question. That's a great question. Anybody else have any questions, thoughts, comments? Okay, I don't see. Let's see. Got one more here. And Kofi says qualitative all day. It just, everybody has a preference. I started out, my dissertation was qualitative, but now I've done more mixed methods work. It always just say depends on my research question. Like I always say, let your research question dictate your methodology and not the other way around. Because I know a lot of times we do what we're comfortable with, but if your question is not aligned with that particular methodology, you're wasting your time. You'll just be frustrated and not get out the dissertation. And Ron says qualitative, quantitative. Okay, Ron is quantitative for life. Yeah, everybody has a perspective. I want you all to have the skill set to do both. That's always my thing, is like, why not dibble and dabble in both? And if you don't know how to do both or haven't learned the skill set, collaborate with people who do. I'm a big believer in that part too. Researchers, we don't do this in a vacuum. I definitely think that you should have collaborators as you finish out when you finish your dissertation and doing research in the field. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? All right, good people. Well, I want to say thank you all for tuning in again. It's Dr. Ramon Goins with the Done Dissertation, where we demystify the doctoral process so that doctoral students can write and defend their dissertation in 1 year or less and transition to a faculty position, and then take their research once they have a done dissertation and use that work to make an impact in their community and make an income for themselves through that transformational research. And literally what's on the horizon for y'all, you're going to hear me talk more and more about what to do when you have a done dissertation. So for those who have finished a doctorate and like figuring out what to do with it, stay tuned, because I have something excited that's going to be dropping at the top of 2022, and you definitely don't want to miss out, because I'm going to have a solution for you and how to build your business and build your brand as a researcher. Because I know a lot of you all have now finished a doctorate and not sure what to do with it. And so that will be for my folks who are later on and have gotten their done dissertation. And Kofi says, I may switch to mixed methods due to writing about inventory. Yeah, again, let your research question dictate that and where you're on the process. So again, I want to say thank you all for tuning in. I look forward to catching up with you all next week, and we'll talk more about the Done Dissertation Velocity Group Coaching Program. If you have any questions, shoot me a DM wherever you saw this video today. Take care, everybody. Peace.